Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wondered why someone can stand right in front of you, smile at you, laugh with you, even care for you deeply, yet never say the words you long to hear? What if I told you that silence, hesitation, and fear are not the absence of desire, but the proof of it? Tonight, I will reveal to you the hidden signs, the secret signals, the quiet whispers of attraction that most people overlook. Because sometimes the loudest confession of the heart is the one that is never spoken aloud. Silence has a language, a rhythm, and a power that most people overlook. It is in the moments when nothing is said that everything is revealed. You see, when someone carries feelings inside, when their heart races with unspoken emotions, words often become too heavy to carry. So, instead, the truth escapes in the tiniest gestures, the kind that only the attentive will notice. When you step into a room and her eyes instinctively search for you before anything else, that is not coincidence. That is not casual. That is her silence doing the talking. Think about it for a moment. Words are easy to fabricate. Anyone can say what they don't mean, but energy never lies. A glance, a subtle smile, the way her body positions itself. It all reveals a truth that the mouth is too shy to release. And when someone secretly wants you, the first thing they will protect is not their time, not their energy, but their pride. That pride makes them cautious, careful, and silent. But the silence cannot hide the heart. It will slip through the way she smiles a little wider at your jokes, even the ones no one else seems to find amusing. It will reveal itself in how she suddenly becomes aware of her own presence when you are near, adjusting her hair, fixing her clothes, or simply sitting straighter, not because she planned to, but because her emotions are moving her body without permission. Ion. There is a profound beauty in these hidden signals. They remind us that connection does not always come in grand gestures or loud declarations. Sometimes it arrives in the quiet. Sometimes it lives in the space between words. Imagine a moment when you are speaking to her and she does not interrupt, she does not look away, but instead she gives you the kind of focus that feels almost overwhelming. That level of presence is not normal, it is not casual, it is silent admiration. It is her heart leaning closer while her voice stays still. Silence is also found in timing. Notice how she appears in places where you are, not always by accident, but never by admission either. She won't say she came because she wanted to see you, but somehow she will always be there, always within reach, always part of the circle you move in. And even if she does not speak, her eyes will betray her. The eyes always do. They are windows that never learned to wear masks. If you truly pay attention, you will see how often they drift toward you, how quickly they look away when caught, and how stubbornly they return again, as if drawn by a magnetic pull that no silence can break. This is the art of unspoken desire. It is not direct, it is not obvious, but it is undeniable. And yet, so many miss it because they are too focused on hearing words instead of watching actions. They are waiting for a confession when the confession has already been made through every careful glance, every nervous laugh, every pause that lingers longer than it should. Think of the times when her silence grows louder than noise. When in a crowded room, her attention still finds its way back to you. When during a conversation with others, she listens for your voice in the background. When your presence seems to change the temperature of her mood, those are the signs that reveal what her mouth cannot. She won't say, I want you. But her stillness when you arrive, the shift in her energy, the quickening of her breath, they all scream it without sound. There is a vulnerability in silence. It is not weakness, it is protection. Imagine carrying feelings so strong that they scare you. Imagine being so drawn to someone that admitting it feels like handing over your heart on a silver plate. Not everyone is ready for that exposure, and so they let silence carry their truth. They rely on subtlety, hoping that if you look closely enough, you will see the message they are too afraid to speak. That is the paradox of hidden attraction. It longs to be seen, but fears being discovered. When you learn to listen to silence, you discover a different level of connection. You begin to notice the tiny details that others dismiss, the way her laughter shifts when it's directed at you, the way she hesitates before leaving, as if her body is asking for just one more moment in your presence, the way she remembers small details about your life, things you didn't think mattered to anyone. All of this is silence transformed into action, and actions, more than words, carry the real weight of truth. The challenge is that silence can be misinterpreted. Not everyone who is quiet around you feels something for you, but there is a difference between ordinary silence and intentional silence. Ordinary silence is neutral. It carries no energy, no emotion. Intentional silence, on the other hand, is charged. You can feel it, almost like static in the air. It is the kind of quiet that makes your chest tighten, that leaves you second-guessing what it means. If you have ever felt that kind of tension, you have already encountered the truth. The silence itself has spoken. You see, silence is not absence. It is presence intensified. It is the heartbeat that grows louder in the quiet. It is the look that speaks 1,000 words without uttering one. It is the shy withdrawal after a moment of closeness, not because she doesn't want it, but because she wants it too much. That is the secret language, the one that only reveals itself to those patient enough to pay attention. And here's the remarkable part. When you truly understand this, you stop chasing loud declarations, you stop demanding words and start valuing signals. You realize that the most genuine connections often start in the invisible, the unspoken, the subtle. The power of silence is that it forces you to feel rather than just hear. It makes you lean in, it makes you notice, it makes you understand on a deeper level. So when you find yourself doubting, wondering if there is something more, do not rush to demand answers. Look at the silence. Study the way it moves around you. Feel the shift in energy when you step into the room. Notice how her presence bends slightly toward yours, even when her lips say nothing. That is where the truth lives. That is where desire hides. Energy is one of the most honest forces in human connection. It cannot be faked, it cannot be rehearsed, and it cannot be hidden for long. When someone secretly desires you, their energy shifts the moment you are near. It's in the way their laughter carries a warmth that wasn't there before, in the softness that enters their voice, in the rhythm of their body language that starts aligning with yours. You may not notice it immediately, but if you pause and pay attention, you'll realize that the atmosphere changes in subtle but undeniable ways. There is something magnetic about unspoken attraction. It's as if two frequencies begin to sync, like invisible waves meeting in perfect harmony. That's why you feel drawn to someone without understanding why. It's not about the words being spoken, it's about the emotional current running beneath them. When someone wants you but won't say it, their energy betrays them every single time. Imagine sitting across from her while talking. She leans in just slightly, almost without realizing it, as if your presence is pulling her closer. That lean is not conscious, it is instinctive, the body following the heart's silent command. Or consider the way she mirrors your movements. If you cross your arms, a few moments later, she does the same. If you lean back, she leans back. If you sip your drink, she picks up hers. This mirroring is not strategy, it's subconscious synchronization, a silent dance that reveals how deeply her energy is tied to yours. Energy also shows up in the smallest details of conversation. Notice the difference in tone when she speaks with you compared to others. There's a lightness, almost a melody in her laughter, as if it's more genuine, more alive. She may smile more often, tilt her head slightly while listening, or hold your gaze longer than necessary. None of these things are rehearsed. They flow naturally because energy doesn't need permission to express itself. And then there are the eyes. Eyes are the most powerful transmitters of energy. They reveal attraction more honestly than any words ever could. When someone secretly wants you, their eyes carry a sparkle, a softness, a gravity that keeps coming back even after they look away. They might glance quickly and then pretend to be busy with something else, but a few seconds later, their gaze finds you again. That is not coincidence. That is energy reaching out, asking to be noticed, asking to be felt. You can also feel it in proximity. When she wants to be near you, she will naturally place herself within your orbit. It might be subtle, like choosing a seat that's not too far from yours, or casually walking beside you even when there are other options. The closeness is not spoken, but it is chosen. Energy always seeks closeness with what it desires, and if you pay attention, you will notice that she often stays around longer than she needs to, as if leaving your presence feels heavier than staying. What makes this energy so fascinating is that it speaks even in moments of silence. Picture a situation where nothing is being said, yet you can feel a tension in the air. The kind of tension that makes your heart beat faster, that makes the space feel charged, almost alive. That's the energy of attraction trying to break free, even when words are locked away. It's in the stillness of a pause, in the way she hesitates before saying goodbye, in the way she finds little excuses to continue the interaction just a bit longer. This kind of energy isn't something you can manufacture, and that's why it's so powerful. It bypasses the mind and speaks directly from the soul. When someone truly wants you, their body and spirit reveal it without their consent. You can see it in how often they laugh with you, even when the joke isn't that funny. You can sense it in the way they listen more intently, remembering details about you that most people forget. It's not about being polite, it's about being invested. It's about energy choosing you again and again. But energy is also fragile. It carries both longing and fear. The same person who radiates warmth when you're close might pull back suddenly when they realize how much they're revealing. That push and pull is another sign. One moment she seems completely open, leaning in, laughing, glowing in your presence. The next, she withdraws slightly, becomes quiet, looks away. That isn't disinterest, it's caution. Her energy wants to express itself fully, but her fear tries to contain it. And so you see this dance of approach and retreat, openness and restraint. The energy doesn't lie, it just battles with her need for self-protection. Another way you feel this hidden energy is through timing. She finds reasons to connect, even if they are small. Maybe she messages you about something trivial, but the underlying reason isn't the message, it's the desire to interact. Maybe she asks for your opinion on something she already knows the answer to, just to hear your voice or read your words. These moments may seem small, but they are energy-driven choices. They are the manifestations of a heart that longs for closeness while pretending to be casual. What's remarkable about energy is that it doesn't just reveal attraction, it creates it. The more two people's energies align, the stronger the pull becomes. That's why some connections feel effortless, as if you've known each other forever. It's because your energies are in harmony, feeding off one another, amplifying the unspoken bond. When someone secretly wants you, they unconsciously create this harmony. They give you their attention, their laughter, their warmth, their time, and all of it builds an invisible thread that ties the two of you together. You don't need dramatic gestures to confirm it. You don't need grand confessions. All you need to do is pay attention to how you feel in their presence. Does the energy shift when they walk into the room? Do you notice how conversations seem lighter, easier, more alive? Do you feel an invisible connection even when no words are exchanged? If so, you're already experiencing what their heart has been hiding. Attraction is not always loud, but it is always felt. Energy is the proof that no matter how much someone tries to conceal their emotions, the truth always finds its way to the surface. You can see it in the glow of their smile, in the softness of their gestures, in the consistency of their presence. When someone secretly wants you, their energy gives them away every single time. Care is one of the most powerful expressions of hidden affection. When someone secretly wants you but cannot bring themselves to admit it, their feelings often surface in small acts of concern. These gestures may seem ordinary on the surface, but they carry a weight far deeper than casual politeness. They are love's secret tests, ways of giving without saying, ways of revealing without confessing. Think about how people usually interact. Most will ask about your day out of routine, but when there is real attraction, the questions become more intimate, more intentional, more specific. Instead of, "How are you?" you'll hear, "Did you eat?" Instead of, "What's new?" you'll hear, "Are you sleeping well these days?" These details may seem small, but they are not random. They show that someone has been thinking about you beyond the moment, that your well-being has been quietly resting on their mind. This kind of care is never accidental. It's a reflection of the heart's desire to stay connected without crossing the line into full vulnerability. When someone asks if you've been taking care of yourself, it's not just curiosity, it's their way of saying, "You matter to me." When they remember something you casually mentioned weeks ago and bring it up again, that is not chance, that is intention, that is hidden affection trying to slip through the cracks. Care also appears in timing. Notice when those questions come. They don't usually arrive when everything is perfect. They arrive when you seem a little tired, when your energy feels low, when life seems to weigh on you. It's as if their heart is tuned to your frequency, picking up signals others overlook. They sense your struggle before you announce it. They reach out in moments when you most need it, not because they have to, but because they want to. That timing is never random. It's a silent declaration, a way of saying, "I notice you in ways others don't." There is also a softness in the way care is delivered. Someone who secretly wants you doesn't express concern the same way a friend might. There's a tenderness, an extra layer of attention. If you mention you're unwell, they won't just say, "Hope you feel better." They'll follow up later to ask how you're doing. They'll suggest remedies, send a message, or even show up with something small to ease your day. Those gestures are love disguised as kindness, a heart speaking in the only language it dares to use. And sometimes, care shows up as protection. Not the dramatic kind, but the subtle moments when they defend you in a conversation, when they make sure you feel included, when they notice details about your comfort others miss. It could be as simple as noticing you're cold and offering a jacket, or making sure you eat before a long day. These actions may seem ordinary, but the motivation behind them is extraordinary. They are driven by a quiet desire to see you safe, well, and happy. The beauty of these acts of care is that they are often framed as casual. They'll say it like it's nothing, as if they're just being thoughtful. But behind that light tone lies something much deeper. It's a way to give a piece of their heart without risking rejection. They don't say, "I want you." They say, "Don't skip meals," or "Drive safe," or "Text me when you get home." The words are simple, but the meaning is profound. When you begin to notice this pattern, you realize that care is not just care, it is communication. It's a language of love spoken through action instead of words. It's the heart trying to reveal itself in ways that won't expose it completely. And the more you pay attention, the clearer it becomes that these small acts are not random kindness. They are targeted, intentional, and deeply personal. Sometimes, care even shows itself through sacrifice, someone who sacrifices. At least once you may give up their own comfort just to make yours easier. They might adjust their schedule to see you, even if they never admit that's why. They might let go of their own preferences in small decisions just to match yours. Sacrifice is love's silent proof, and even when unspoken, it leaves a trail for you to follow. But here's the paradox. The more they care, the harder they try to hide it. That's why it can feel confusing. One moment they are asking about your well-being in a way that feels deeply personal. The next, they're acting as though it meant nothing at all. This push and pull isn't because their feelings are unclear. It's because their feelings are too clear, too powerful, and they are afraid of what will happen if they are fully revealed. So they package their affection in small doses of care, hoping you'll see, hoping you'll feel, without forcing themselves to speak it aloud. Think back to times when someone has remembered something small about you, your favorite snack, the song you love, the way you like your coffee. Those memories are not accidents. They are evidence of attention, of someone holding pieces of you in their heart. They don't announce it, they don't make it obvious. They just quietly let those details guide the way they show up for you. And in those moments, their affection is louder than any confession could ever be. The truth is, care is one of the bravest ways a person can love in secret. It requires vulnerability without exposure, giving without demanding, loving without confessing. It's safer than words, but riskier than indifference. It creates a trail for the attentive to notice, for the intuitive to follow. It says, "I want to be close to you," without ever having to speak the words aloud. And if you listen carefully, if you pay attention to those small moments of concern, you'll realize that they are not random acts of kindness. They are tests, gentle, quiet tests. Each one is a question disguised as care. Do you notice me noticing you? Do you feel what I feel? Can you hear what I'm too afraid to say? These are the silent questions hidden inside every act of concern. And if you recognize them, you'll begin to understand the depth of what lies beneath. Desire is rarely simple. It often comes dressed in layers of hesitation, hidden behind masks of composure, restrained by the weight of fear. When someone secretly wants you but cannot voice it, what you are really witnessing is not a lack of feeling. It is the presence of fear. Fear of rejection, fear of losing what already exists, fear of being exposed in a way that cannot be undone. This fear doesn't erase the attraction, it amplifies it. It makes every small interaction a battlefield between the heart that wants to reach out and the mind that insists on retreat. Look closely, and you will see this struggle play out in subtle ways. One moment, there is a spark of closeness, a softness in the way they look at you, a warmth in their laughter, a gesture that almost feels like a confession. But then, almost immediately, there is withdrawal. The eye contact breaks, the body shifts, the tone changes. It isn't indifference, it's fear stepping in to pull back the curtain, to hide what was almost revealed. That push and pull is one of the clearest signs of unspoken desire. It is important to understand what that fear is protecting. For many people, expressing attraction feels like gambling with something valuable. What if the feeling isn't returned? What if speaking up changes the dynamic forever? What if vulnerability leads not to closeness but to distance? These questions echo in the mind, creating hesitates. Iron where the heart wants action, so instead of words, there are pauses. Instead of confessions, there are half smiles. Instead of boldness, there is restraint. Yet behind all of it lies the truth, wanting you, but not knowing how to risk it. Fear also shapes behavior in unpredictable ways. Sometimes it makes them quiet, avoiding too much interaction because they are scared their emotions will slip out. Other times it makes them overcompensate, being playful, joking too much, acting casual in hopes of disguising how much they actually care. This inconsistency is not confusion, it's strategy. It's the heart trying to mask itself in layers, but the effort to hide only makes the feelings more noticeable to those who pay attention. Have you ever noticed how someone will look at you deeply, almost as if they are about to say something important, only to break the moment with a sudden change of subject? That is fear at work. The eyes release the truth before the mind can stop it, but the words get caught in the throat, swallowed before they can escape. The silence that follows is not emptiness. It is a storm of unspoken emotions carefully locked away because the risk feels too great. The fear of being misunderstood is also powerful. Imagine carrying emotions so strong that even the smallest misstep could make you feel foolish. That's why many people hesitate to reveal what they feel. They would rather protect their pride than expose themselves to the possibility of rejection. But ironically, that same fear often makes their desire more obvious. The nervousness, the sudden withdrawal, the shifting body language, all of it creates a pattern that points directly to the truth. There's another side to this fear. It's not always about rejection. Sometimes it's about the weight of what attraction could mean. Wanting someone is not always light-hearted. It can be overwhelming. The thought of stepping into something deeper can be both exciting and terrifying. So instead of rushing forward, they hold back. They hesitate. They stall, not because the desire isn't strong, but because it's too strong and they don't know how to control it. In this way, fear becomes both a wall and a confession. It blocks the words from being spoken, but it reveals itself in every pause, every hesitation, every contradiction. It is the nervous laughter after a serious moment. It is the way they avoid your gaze right after holding it for too long. It is the sudden change of subject when the conversation becomes too personal. These are not signs of disinterest. They are signs of someone wrestling with themselves, torn between the pull of their heart and the caution of their mind. What makes this fear so human is that it often comes from a place of deep respect. When someone truly values you, they don't want to risk mishandling their feelings. They don't want to say something that could push you away or create discomfort. So instead, they guard their emotions, keeping them tucked away behind polite smiles and safe conversations. But the longing is still there, alive in every careful gesture, alive in every fleeting moment of closeness. If you pay attention, you will see that this fear has a rhythm. It comes in waves. There will be moments of openness, where the smile lingers longer, where the conversation flows easily, where the closeness feels undeniable. Then suddenly the tide pulls back. They become quiet, distant, reserved. That rhythm is not random. It is the heart advancing and retreating, testing the waters while protecting itself at the same time. And yet, fear never fully succeeds in hiding desire. The truth always slips through. It escapes in the way their mood shifts around you, in the nervous gestures, in the extra attention to small details. It appears in the way they remember things you didn't think mattered, or the way they seem more invested in your happiness than most. These are the cracks in the armor, the places where the heart leaks through despite every attempt to keep it hidden. The irony of fear is that it often makes the signs clearer. The very act of holding back creates a noticeable tension. That tension is felt in the silence, in the pauses, in the nervousness that hangs in the air. It's like standing at the edge of a cliff. There's excitement, there's danger, there's longing to jump, but also the paralyzing fear of falling. That's what unspoken desire feels like. Standing at the edge, wanting to leap, but gripping the ground for safety. So when you notice this hesitation, understand it for what it is. It's not the absence of feelings, it's the proof of them. People don't fear what they don't care about. They don't hesitate over something that means nothing. Fear is the shadow of desire, and where there is hesitation, there is almost always longing. It is a protective reflex, but also a silent admission. I want this, but I'm not sure if it's safe to say it.